Hello there friends, it's Ashley here from the Loopy Lamb and theloopylamb.com, and thanks so much for stopping by the channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to do the foundation double crochet stitch, which is a great technique that you can use to substitute in for patterns where they ask you to create a long crochet chain and then work stitches into that chain. So I'm going to be showing you not only how to do that stitch, I'm going to share with you my tip for using this stitch marker here to make doing this stitch a little bit easier. And I'm going to tell you how and when you can substitute this technique into crochet patterns. So to follow along with today's tutorial, you're going to need some yarn in a weight of your preference. I'm using this King Cold Timeless Chunky weight yarn here in the color Parchment, and you're going to need a crochet hook that works with your yarn. I'm using a 6mm or J crochet hook here, and if you'd like to try my tip, you'll need a locking stitch marker as well. So to start the foundation double crochet, you need to have a slip knot on your hook already. And now if you're not familiar with how to do a slip knot, check out this tutorial here where I've shown you a couple of ways that you can use this, create a slip knot for your crochet projects. So with our slip knot already on our hook, we're going to create a chain of 3. So we're going to yarn over and pull through, that's 1. Yarn over and pull through, that's 2. Yarn over and pull through, that's 3. So now that we've got our 3 chains on our hook, we're going to yarn over hook and insert our hook into the 3rd chain from the hook. All right, so we're going to insert our hook there, yarn over and pull up a loop. So you should have 3 loops on your hook. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop only. Still, we have 3 loops on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the next 2 loops. And that's your first foundation double crochet completed. Now with the foundation double crochet, there is a slight difference between this and the other foundation stitches in that these skipped chains here are going to count as a stitch as well. So when you are counting your stitches, you need to make sure that you count these skip stitches as a stitch as well. And remember to work into them later on. If you have a hard time remembering to work into those kind of turning chains, you can place a stitch marker into the top of the turning chain here to remember to come back to it later. So before we get into moving on to doing more than one foundation double crochet, I want to do this one first stitch with you again, but show you my little trick that makes working into your second stitches and subsequent stitches easier. So we've got our chain 3 here. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the 3rd chain from the hook. And we're going to yarn over and pull up our loop. 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through that first chain only. Now at this point, grab your stitch marker and turn your work upside down. Now at the bottom of the work, you'll see a little V looking thing happening here on the bottom. There's a strand here and a strand here. We want to place a stitch marker under both strands, which is a little finicky under the camera, so I do apologize. I'm going to place that stitch marker under both strands there because that's where we're going to start working our stitches when we start doing more than one foundation chain double crochet. So we want to make sure that it's easy to find, and that first one I personally find is always really tricky. All right, so we've got that stitch marker there. And now we're ready to start working on our actual double crochet stitch, because that when we yarn over and pull through that first loop, we're creating what would be our crochet chain. So we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. 2 loops are on our hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And that's our first foundation double crochet completed. So to create our second and subsequent foundation double crochet stitches, we need to yarn over and again turn our work upside down so we find that V. So thankfully you've got that stitch marker in there. It's going to make it a little easier for us here. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook under both strands of the V. That first one can be a little tight, so if it is, don't worry. That's totally normal. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. So you should have 3 loops on your hook. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through that first loop only. Again, creating our next chain. 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. 2 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through the next 2 loops. And that's our second foundation double crochet completed. So you can move this stitch marker up and continue to mark these chains as you create them. But as you get used to it and finding those V's at the bottom, then you won't need that support any longer. So we'll do a few more here together. Yarn over and insert our hook under both loops of the chain. That's at the base of the previous stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop. 3 loops are on our hook. Yarn over and pull through the first loop. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2 again. All right, and this is what your works should look like. All right, and so we'll do another one here together. We're going to yarn over, turn our work upside down, and insert our hook under both loops of that chain at the base. Yarn over and pull up a loop. 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through 1. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2. All right, and one more time together, yarn over, insert our hook under both loops of that chain at the base of the previous stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop. 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 1. Yarn over, pull through 2. And yarn over and pull through 2. Now, when you want to substitute using this technique for a crochet chain and a row of stitches, what you need to find is a crochet pattern that uses a crochet chain to start with, and then your whole first row of stitches are double crochet stitches. So if it says to chain 101 and then you're working a double crochet into every chain, then, or you skip 3 or 4 chains and then you work double crochet into each remaining chain, then that's where you can substitute in the foundation double crochet stitch. Now, to know how many double crochets you're going to need to create, you're going to look at the stitch count at the end of row 1 for your pattern. So if your pattern says you're going to have 98 double crochet stitches, then you're going to do 98 foundation double crochet stitches. Do not look at the chain, the amount of chains that you need, because that will be different because they have extra chains added to account for this turning chain here. So since that's already built in, you don't need to worry about that. You just need to look at the number of stitches at the end of row 1 of your pattern. All right. So I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please hit that like button and please consider subscribing to this channel. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you and I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. If you like free crochet patterns, please check out my blog, theloopylamb.com, where I've got over 200 free crochet patterns and video tutorials. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Happy hooking, and I'll see you next time.